fight back into it.
And I think the thing about that is you're going to have to do it by winning 2, 3, and 4. Just like going to a red card search is just not going to feel very good. I think especially with the recent success that Miami have been able to find on that map. They are 4-0 in their last 4 attempts on it. But we'll keep that conversation banked up for when we eventually maybe get there. But looking at how the hard point's going to square up, again, the keys are just, I wouldn't even point to an individual. It's got to be everybody, because a lot of the losses that you're seeing here in their last 5 have come by way of not having all 4 players ready to go at the minute 1, just as soon as we see the green light. So, got to... Miami, Minnesota, let's get it up.
Start off early in towards the P1. Miami had the spawns that they currently want for the P2 side. They won the initial trades. They're already soaking up initial time, but Nero's here on the opposite side just causing mayhem.
Yeah, love this from Nero. Just again, the passing of the baton of the SMGs, trying to get forward, and how about that? Good shutdown on the metals. Split spawn situation here for Miami, and whoa, clean shots from Nero. Highlighted on the individual player card as we're running into the map, and he's got a 6-0 start. Hasn't missed a shot yet by the look of it, looking for streaks.
Oh, man, guys are playing at 3 p.m. Yeah, he's ready to rock and roll if he's going to have an earlier start. That is a perfect way to come out the gate swinging if you are Nero. Give your team some early momentum, and already striking out the gates with a lot of time there at the P1. You're winning the rotation over towards B2. Now Miami forced to break through kitchen.
Yep, and it's going to be red, as there's already a cutoff man in Kenny. He doesn't find the opening pick, so now Estriel's going to be called upon to be responsible for 3 members coming in. The first one's fine. No fob up those. Real's pinch. Create some space at the back. Spawns will flip. Good patience, and Real will catch a double, and Miami can get in.
Yeah, it's a big double there for Real, because once that kill goes down, all of his teammates spawn right behind him, so they have the numbers to soak up a lot of this P2 time and get themselves back into this game. 30 seconds still to fight for a big one-on-one win right there from Nero, and now you're forcing Miami to change up their positionings. Does not matter. Durka super pops a double, and they still hold.
All right, he gets a third as well, delayed over through Piano. Metals a couple of shots in, looking to get the full team wipe, and will find Estriel, but not be able to kill him over towards Jim. Regardless of that, though, this 30 seconds has been essentially perfect for Miami. Only small moments of contest for the Rocker, who are now kind of chalking this up and rotating over to New.
Yeah, they're fully set up here at the P3. They have a lot of presence through the middle of the map, but 2 initial gunfights already go in favor of Miami. Now they have the numbers. You can bombard your way in towards the hard point. You go 3 for 1 in the trades, and now you're able to execute the perfect break there to soak up time.
Yeah, really good stuff here from Miami. Breaking down the initial Rocker setup, and now locking down what side of the map they want to play from with this long anchor for Metals watching the flank. But in through middle, Estriel for 2. Gio to assist as he now makes his way over in through kitchen. And yeah, Miami's just so far out here, not able to get back in. Definitely curious to see them trying to anchor on that part of the map, but now you've got to play for the hard point and the rotation. Not a great start here for Miami through 3.
Yeah, realistically, I don't even know you're going to be thinking about that hard point. You're just going to cut your losses and try to hit your way through top hallway. Hook these spawns on his head, but once that push initially gets shut down, you are forced now to challenge at this old time. Rockers have the spawns that they want. They are a little bit scattered, but they have a majority of their players on the bedroom side. A big opening gunfight there from Metals. What is it going to do to that player's spawn? He's going to spawn right next to Minnesota in the position that they want.
Yeah, Kenny has to lock things down for a moment here. Hard point open. Spawn's not fully locked in yet, but those 2 eliminations will definitely help. Real playing by himself inside the hard point. Feels the pressure, backs away. Trying to continue to play his life, but not going to be allowed to. Gio's able to track him down. Follow-up from Estriel up top is good, and Minnesota can stabilize.
And right now, Rocker are on point. They basically won every single rotation through the first 4 hills. Now, if they can set up properly here, and soak up the majority of this time, you already have a 40-point lead. You lose the initial gunfight to the top side of the flag, and thankfully you got a Nero who pops a double. Spawns to secure for Rocker, clean 4 dead. This final 20 is theirs.
Yeah, really solid stuff here for Minnesota. They're going to grow this lead to about double the points, if not maybe a little bit more than that, as Nero continues to pop off this first set. 19-8 has not been required to play inside the hard point that much, and his teammates are thankful for that at the time being. So over 100 points still in Minnesota. Miami need to play recovery here in this second set, and they're already setting themselves up nicely with the high ground position.
Yeah, the only reason why Miami is shorter in this game because they found a good chunk of time there off the 2. So this second half needs to be a whole lot better here for the Heretics. A 50-point difference. You dominate the kill feed for the initial push, And you already have players like Super getting aggressive as hell through top plat, forcing all of Rocker to work their way through kitchen, and you're just leaving Metal in time uncontested.
Metals locking things into the hard point. Kenny over the back. Oh, nice shots from Metals, looking for more, and he has the help from Real to stay alive. So that gap of about double the points has now just gone down to 30. This has been a really efficient hard point here for Miami, pardon me. And now an opportunity to try to push through Piano, flip the spawns with 15 seconds left, but Minnesota are not going to allow that to happen. 4-man feed, and the Rocker will set up for 2.
Yeah, I love how the way that Rocker just played that as well. They weren't really sending their way through plat, through bottom bedroom to get them off of that P1 time. Everyone just committed to pitches and the overextension to flip these spawns for the P2 side. You win the rotation again, technically to this hard point, but this is where Miami kept themselves in the game with an early break, and Metals finding the double is not going to allow them to have the setup that they want.
Yeah. Another nice break attempt here for Miami. Clearance from the front also being earned, plus a bit of a feel out in terms of where Minnesota are hitting from with this read up top and down low over towards Kitchen. Super trying to take care of Gio. Good delay of his life for a moment, putting a lot of pressure over to Rancor's direction. He's good for the opener. Coming quickly to help his Super. Only able to find one, though. Minnesota will gain some space through P3, but not able to find the kills they need to move the spawns around. And with the reinforcements, the Heretics are able to stabilize for the time being.
P2 has been the saving grace so far from Miami. They have been flawless once they find that break on their holding setup. Everyone is lighting it up in the kill feed, being the team the last one standing in that kill feed to still secure those bonds. Now you're going to find yourself up by almost 15 points. You don't have the rotation over towards P3, but an initial kill already starts it off for Real. Now you have the numbers to just bombard your way through mid.
Now Kenny, did he pick up a couple? No, over the top of the head, he only able to find a bit of damage. Nero trying to follow up on that damage, though, and nearly finds 2, but not the case. And this stretch, this string of Miami Heretics scoring continues forward. And a lot of time and space here for Miami to get a read on where Minnesota are. Metal's going to try to set up a bit of a pinch around the back. He does find Kenny at the exact right time, leaving Estriel by himself, and he will find one before dropping, makes this next attempt maybe a little bit more doable for Minnesota as Miami once again find themselves spawning on the left side of the minimap.
Yeah, if Rocker don't switch up their pace, this is only going to continue to get worse and worse, because right now they're playing the fundamental game correctly. They're just going to be getting outpaced and outnumbered in those close range gunfights because someone is consistently always trying to play for the spawns. That's why Miami are seemingly looking to have a lot more players than just 4 on the minimap right now. But you're now up by 40. Rocket on this P4 setup. They already started off with the initial kills. They're going to be fully set up here again for some good times.
Yeah, this was where they really put the pedal to the metal at the end of the first rotation, and a chance to maybe take the lead back here if they can continue to be flawless on this P4 setup. Kenny moving over to try to deal with Rencor, who has avoided a good number of this Rocker defense, but Estriel and Gio able to kind of break the camera angles and get him crossed up, allowing reinforcements to get back into the hard point. And then Nero again just continues to dominate this map. 31 and 17, 5 in a row. That will flush out this Heretic setup and allow Minnesota to be more comfortable on the hill.
Man, big shout out to Nero, because he's the guy who single-handedly keeps it in the game. Everyone else is struggling a little bit, but when they're fully set up at this P4, they have made the most of it. Estriel now starting to come alive, does get shut down on 4 in a row, and Miami are able to secure those back spawns for those final 10 seconds. So the lead is still in their favor, but Minnesota have decided the map if they want to go into our third set.
Last time we were here, Miami did a lot of the damage to the deficit that they were facing by just staying alive inside the hard point. Kenny in some trouble. Nice angle onto Real. Still realizes he's likely going to be challenged, and that'll not just be him falling. A couple others will fall. It's all 4 dead. Staggered spawn here for Gio, just playing inside elevator. And Miami are just going to hold the front line here. Yep. Wait for the next wave and then make the play across. And it's going to work out beautifully for them. 3 will fall. 1 more to grab as Estriel, and Real's already on the hunt. Has a perfect idea of where he is. And that will flip the map in favor of Miami.
Yeah, that's the worst case scenario right there for Rocker, because you still had the spawns that you wanted once that first wave went down. But when the second wave goes down, the way that Miami played it, just play for the kills before they flip the spawns. Now you are chasing ghosts. You're only here at 10 seconds remaining for the P1, but you lose the spawns for next.
Yeah, Real popping off here in these last couple of hard points. He's now up to a very formidable 27 and 20. And And on the other side, just kind of tallying the stats, like as impressive as Nero has been, again, it's a bit of a 2v4 situation. You've got Estrel at 18 and 24, Kenny just at 20 and 25. Like, it's just not an even participation on the scoreboard. That's often been one of the kind of linchpins, kind of stopping Minnesota from finding success. But the break does come through here at P2. Kenny under pressure, damage in, but cannot find a kill.
Yeah, this is their first break here at P2, and they need to make this one count because this is where Miami were able to keep themselves into the game, and already the pressure through kitchen is going to allow them to overwhelm through the back end. Spawns now flip, and Miami find the break, at least for now.
Kenny trying to hang on, stuns, nades all being tossed. Help is on the way, but oh no! Kenny's Semtex takes care of Nero just as he was trying to pinch the hill. Oh, such an unfortunate set of timing there for Minnesota. So they're going to once again have to play for rotation. Real being the thorn in their side, just trying to keep Minnesota distracted. Good for one, but nothing more. But keep your eye on medals. Long play around the back. Minnesota have no idea, or do they? Nero turns, snaps, finds the kill, and Rocker are in.
That's a big gunfight win right there from Nero. Picks up an AR. He's absolutely beaming here on the map number 1. But this is where Rocker has to play tremendously quick because Miami only has 15 to take map 1.
Here we go. Gio trying to hold. Good information onto one. Finds the kill. Looking for the second. Tough gunfight for Real. And he will be eventually taken out of the hard point. 189 to 244. Minnesota are able to keep Miami out of the hard point for now. Rencore good first. Shots to Nero are good. And that'll be finished up by medals. Now you just need 6 points. But again, the numbers just are not here yet. And an extra Semtex from Kenny will take him out of play. Minnesota looking like they're going to get the scrap time as Miami are trying to play for the first 6 seconds and then rotate early.
Yeah, realistically, if you're Rocker, as soon as you cannot lose at that P3, everyone's got to cut their losses and think about new. There's 2 players from Miami contested through the back, and they both win their one-on-one. Spawn secured for the Heretics. They can close it out.
Kenny's got to get in, but he's not going to be able to. The crossfire setup is too strong, and Super pushing up the map manipulates the spawns for Minnesota to be way too far away. Miami will take the opener. I won't say convincingly, but at the end there was a level of conviction for sure.
Oh, without question, Miami flipped the switch in the middle of that game. The only time that they were able to find successful holds was at the P2 initially. You're down by 60, but once you get into the second set, basically a flawless P1, going into a flawless P2. You make P3 scrappy, you don't give up all the time. A Rocker at that money hill in the P4. Rocker basically won every single rotation. It's just when you allowed once you allowed Miami to find that break, they did not let it go at any given moment. The P2 was their answer for the map number 1, and now Rocker are fighting an uphill battle to try to take down the best S&D team in the game here, down 0-1 in the series.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, like, we framed this all up about what this map series layout will look like, and losing map number 1 with a map 5 of red card search where we've only found 1 win on the season on it doesn't bode well. 17 assists, which includes 4,800 total damage. So he's just throwing shots at everybody. Estriel on the other side actually wins the assist tally with 20. So, you know, it's the one step we don't get to see live. And, you know, I'd mentioned it kind of felt like a 2v4 looking at the scoreboard with Nero and Gio kind of carrying positive stat lines. But Estriel just wasn't able to finish kills, unfortunately, with 20 total assists. At least he's able to keep his life traded. But the 40 bomb for the L is what really, I think, stands out to me, Jay.
No, without question, man, because Rocker, at least to start off the game, they came out the gate swinging. You're winning every single rotation. You're basically following all of your setups. It's just the P2s that really caused them issues there in that map number 1. You had Nero, who absolutely came out the gates firing. Everybody else was on the game slowly but surely. But when you're just allowing Miami to dictate the game once they find it, that is truly the difference maker. Because you can even see it at the end of that game, where Minnesota know that, all right, we have to, we just shut down a bunch of kills through the middle of the map, but we're still not really playing around the objective. We're more focused on, all right, we're blocking spawns, focusing a certain way, and you're just allowing Miami to overwhelm you on one side of the map. And that's just not the way you're going to be able to beat this kind of game. Down now 0-1 in the series. You desperately need this W for your chance to make it into champs. And now you have to bank on a search and destroy on dealership versus one of the best dealerships in the game.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about it is it's going up against a team that just went flawless in search and destroy throughout the qualifier. It's also a team that put in a ton of reps early on dealership in particular.
Yep.
And I think, again, like outside of facing up against a very tough Toronto team and an LA Thieves team that really does have a solid handle on this map, Miami has been essentially perfect on this this search and destroy. So I think there's levels here for Minnesota where, you know, they've dealt with a difficult schedule. They've dealt with a lot of difficult obstacles that they've had to hurdle. But there's a level of, like, you've got to prove that you deserve to be at CDL champs. 100%. You have to prove that you can best other teams that are at the top of the league to earn a spot. You know, that kind of goes back to talking about, like, your Carolina versus your Vegas last year, where they're both kind of in the mix, the hunt, who's going to be able to get through that last little bit of a hurdle. It comes down to Major 4 where Carolina can't get the job done. I think there's, like, I love that we get these storylines where you're looking at 2, sometimes 3 teams in the picture, but it always comes down to the same story. The teams that are on the bubble have to prove that they deserve to be there by beating a team that finds themselves in the top 4, top 5, and that's exactly what Minnesota has in front of them right here.
The thing, though, Alan, like when I think about this Rocket roster, it's like if this was the lineup initially to start the season, they'd be in a way better position, because right now they're just going through the leaps and bruises of being basically a fresh team. Respawns are 50-50, S&Ds are lackluster, and you're going up against some of the better teams in the game who haven't really made roster changes. And if they did, like Miami's instance, they only got better off of that roster change. It's just sometimes certain players need a little bit more time to really get comfortable with certain lineups. And right now, Rocket don't really have time on their side to even have that decision be made for them. You're down 0-1, going into a dealership search and destroy, where obviously you said it multiple times, this is Miami's bread and butter. But I think if you are Rocker, every single time that you have played this map, you have basically went to a round 10 or round 11. We just need to have a little bit more success early on into these rounds, because First Bloods are going to be a big factor here in map 2.
Already off to a strong start on this opening attack, looking over towards B. Nero at mid is going to be, well, he's going to have his hands full if he stays here. Shots there through the window, so that will alert Gio that he needs to get into the play, or Nero into the play, but it gets shut down. Bomb still being planted. Estro looks like he's going to be comfortable to keep this into a 3v3 post. Uh-oh. Yeah, they're just going to try to push out these defenders on the backside. Yep. In the man cave area back there. The double big TVs. And that's going to be enough for Miami in a 3v4 to come away and not drop another member in. That's just another one of the stories with this Minnesota team, man. Like, we just can't throw away advantages.
Free first kill. If you're narrow in that situation, we have a 4v3. You're the island player. Your job is simply not to die. You want that objective to go down before you even cross through that mid-map area. But once you give up that kill, and then they get the read that you're already putting pressure towards courtyard, it's an easy retake there for Miami. Nero just has to value his life a little bit more there with Minnesota banking on that first blood, because usually when they get the first blood, they are phenomenal at converting it, because they are one of the worst teams on this map at getting first bloods. But fortunately for them in round 1, it doesn't work out.
Here comes Miami. One of the things that I love about them on this offensive side in particular is their ability to scale deep in towards bomb sites, and you can already see Real is working on that, playing one of the forward cars in front of A. Teammates watching the pinch and that mid-cross, and there it is. Real takes care of the solo defender in Kenny on the back of the site, and now you've got a 4v3 post plant that's going to be so difficult for Minnesota to break down.
And how many stuns and nades do they have to try to retake this with a little bit easier of an approach? It's already been 15 seconds knocked down. They know that Miami are fully set up around the site. It's time to hit the go button. Estrio last man standing, and Miami quickly up 2-0.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think a lot of teams could learn from, you know, in terms of those that don't necessarily have this map in the back pocket, is how Miami are so convincing, and I would just say so quick, to not just take a site, but to do so with such convincing nature that they can get someone further past where the bomb site is. And that doesn't just mean the A site. They do it on B better than just about any other team in the league as well. So there's a lot of things to be learned about this Miami team. The only team to really kind of best them, I think, in terms of overarching strategy was how LA just kind of had the rock, paper, scissors matchup against them back in Boca Raton. Opening look here from Miami. Aggressive over towards Arches. Trades are out. Semtex to turn the tides. But keep your eye on your bomb carrier. Nero has already got some space to work over towards A if Kenny can just stay alive.
Yeah, and Kenny's going to try to isolate onto this gunfight and is able to get out of dodge. So makes it a 2v2. A minute to work with. Both players are currently spread on their setup. Kenny knows is this potentially going to be more into the courtyard. Going to get knocked down to one shot and commit on the gunfight. Now it's Nero left in a 1v2.
And he's just stuck. The only thing he's got going for him is that no one has seen him yet this round. So he may be able to surprise this Miami defense, but they're being proactive by playing on some pretty safe angles. And now Nero will be known. And wow, quick little reach out comes through. 1v1 win is there. And Miami are off to the races. 3-0 up and nothing is stopping them.
Yeah, the best teams at dealership are the teams that initially shut down that B push. And if Miami are going to consistently stack over towards courtyard and you're just going to run right into them, defenses for them are going to be very, very easy. You have to get a read on where the pressure's coming in, potentially try to work your way over towards A, because once those gunfights go down, they have the preferred spots on the defensive end, and they keep on walking away with the trade fights. Real on 5 in a row, Rencor on 3 in a row. Miami are currently streaking up 3-0 in the search and destroy, can currently do no wrong.
Yeah. And now how about this? Different look through mid. Minnesota have gotten aggressive through the A site. Kenny, oh, good pick. Able to see Riel and then finish him before he can get to cover behind the desk. So Metals has to vacate mid. Rencor, I think, has seen a couple of players on the cross. And again, this is what I love about Miami. Look how far forward he gets. He gets Gio by surprise, not fully. We'll just stun him away, cook up a nade, and just try to stay alive here at the mid shack.
Yeah, but now if you're Rocker, you know that you have them trapped them over towards the courtyard side. Let's just try to commit on these gunfights. Nero gets caught. And no one's there to play for the trade. So now the bomb is going to get planted. It's 3v3.
I cannot believe that Estriel did not try to peek window at the exact same time as that first child comes through. And now Rencor's found another. And the post plant can start to be a little bit more safe. But Estriel and Gio do find the picks that they need. It's going to make Super have to play quickly. And Estriel will find him at mid, allowing Minnesota to get their first take on the board.
That's a big round there for Rocker. You get the first blood. You almost allow Rencor to bring it back for Miami to have the advantage, but thankfully Estriel with that SMG in hand was still roaming around the mid-map area, wins his first one-on-one, and then the 2v1 is prepared for Super to play on that wrap. Catches him slipping. Rocker stands strong on the defense to secure their first round, but now they need to figure out their attacking approach, because if you're going over towards B and Miami are meeting you, that hasn't worked out. Probably got to switch it up there.
We all saw his flawless search, but, you know, this is a massive map.
Fakes nameless. Nero. Over towards the middle of the map. Not able to do too much, and they will lose their bomb carrier, will the Rocker. And Miami, whether they know that or not, they're still going to feel pretty comfortable in their 4v3.
Yeah, there's nothing you need to do now. We have the man advantage. We can retake it with our numbers. No one just gets caught. But Gio is going to put himself in position to at least catch Real. It's just more players on the side of Miami in a position to play the trade. Still a man up for Miami.
Kenny, another tough battle for him. Just thought he had the beat on Rencor, not the case. Nero trying to make his way around the back, but Miami are aware that this is a possibility, and they deal with it quickly. Another one of those rounds where it just does not make a difference about the first blood battle. Miami just so good at recovering and putting themselves into a position, even when the three-man setup, just never allow Minnesota to find another elimination.
Yeah, they're just picking them apart one by one. When you think you're able to isolate onto a player on Miami, no, there's someone right next to him playing for the trade. So they're always putting themselves in the numbers advantage. Now we're able to stop the bleeding, take the advantage again, up by 3. Only need 2 rounds to close out this search and destroy, go back on the attack. Minnesota needs to be able to stand strong here. You cannot go down 5-1. You need this defense.
Yeah, it just has to be something that isn't just a win, but it needs to be convincing enough to change the narrative, change the trends, find something that we can do, start talking about how Minnesota can pull this one back. Gio's able to find one with a car exploding. Metals along the back side of it's going to double up, and another one still maybe to come as Estriel has shown himself. Quick to try to push onto that as Real, but gets caught just in the nick of time by Nero. But in the end, it still does not make a difference. Miami continue to thrive in these low number situations.
Hey, man, the good start for Miami allows them to earn a Hurley Hellstorm. That's what forces all of Minnesota Rocker in towards the garage. That's what gives the space for Miami to push right through that A site and take all that space away. And even though the first blood went in favor of Rocker, Metal's in a perfect position to put the numbers instantly on their side. You're at game point. Minnesota desperately are trying to rally themselves back into this search and destroy, but Miami are not giving them any breathing room.
Well, enjoy the sultry sounds of the CDL music as we get into round number 7. Metals on 3 in a row, trying to play the front door. Delayed nades from Minnesota. Going to push Metals out of commission for now, but he's got help. And again, Minnesota cannot get over to Arches. They're still stuck here in this crossfire setup. And now Metals, he's able to get a little bit of support to stay alive front side Arches. But Kenny, once again, good first blood. Minnesota have to follow up on this.
Yeah, how do they play this now? They have the man advantage. Just going to slide around on into the
Stop
B site, and Real in the perfect position to find a double. Makes it a 2v2 with Nero finding a trade, but now it's all up to Nero.
But it's another moment where it's just like Minnesota are waiting for that play through middle, and Nero's just not in position to follow up with the right timing. So now he's in a 1v2. He's seen both members, but it doesn't matter. And legitimately, just the coordination for Minnesota is just so off kilter. And when we're trusting timing from this mid-window play, and it's just not enough. Another first blood goes completely awry. This time it's Real who counteracts the initial first blood effort. And it's Super who packs the final punch to send Minnesota kind of reeling into this little mini halftime breakdown 0-2.
Minnesota now are feeling the pressure heavily. You're down 0-2. You're down by 40 points from Optic. And you just were not expected to be in this kind of situation. You lose that map, number one, you get blown out here in the search and destroy, where realistically, like, they found a lot of first bloods. It's just Miami's setups are way too strong. This is what makes them a good search and destroy team, Alan, is that even with someone dying early, they don't find success in first blood. Their setups are still perfect to where they are able to still stabilize on pushes in a man disadvantage. It's unbelievable the way that they play search and destroy because everyone just trusts their teammates. You could just tell, even with Metals dying in the first blood there, Real didn't move his spot. He said, all right, you still got my left, I got the right, no problem.
Yep.
And that allows him to, you know, pop a double, give the man advantage to Miami, walk away with the trade fights like they did basically every single round. And that's what makes them the best search and destroy team in the game. Now you're up 2-0 in this series comfortably here in round 1.
Yeah, it really has been one of those things, and it's just like reflecting on the year, you know, as we often do here at Major 4 before we get to champs. Remember the conversation point about Miami and their really miserable search and destroy at the beginning of the year? Like, map 5 loss after map 5 loss because they would lose both the 2 and the 5. And then you pick up Super, and the whole dynamic changes. You get dealership in the mix, and you look this polished, this good, this solid across the board, but then you also add in maps like Red Card. It's just like everything is coming together at the exact right moment for Miami. And I'm not going to lie to you, Jay, like, this is a hard team to veto against. Like, they are so dynamic across really, I wouldn't say all the hard points in all the searches because they have one hard set veto and like rewind and protocol, but regardless of that, the other 4 maps that they've got the option to play, they're looking dangerous on. So really exciting about this Miami team right now, and a chance for them to do what they need to do to be, I think, a major championship contender is to close out a map by winning a control. That's one of the things that they have been a little 50-50 on, better in this qualifier stage, but the fact that matters, you have to be able to beat a team like Atlanta or LA at control, and that's where everyone's trying to make up ground, try to starve off, you know, that third position overall in the league right now.
Yeah, control is the biggest difference. That's where we truly see the difference between the best teams in the game and the mediocre teams in the game, because even if you find yourself losing an opening hard point, losing a search and destroy, you can bank on that control to get you back into the series, especially if your team beat, because that means map 4 is your hard point. Your map 5 is also going to be your search and destroy, so control is going to be a big difference, but S&D also does win you championships, and as long as Miami got this locked up, they just need one respawn in every series, and they'll be comfortable.
I like that call, but we've got a vault control coming up next to see if Miami can close the 3-0 or if Minnesota can start building some hope for a potential reverse sweep. We'll be back right at the backside of the break.
Vancouver are getting grand by LA too.
Whoa, we have, well, a series being played, although it may feel like only Miami is the team playing, because so far it has largely been just that. Nice solid finish to the Skyline hardpoint, followed up by absolute dominance on the Search and Destroy. Jay, we're going to a vault control. Preach me some life. Give me some energy if you're a Minnesota fan right now as I set my camera up.
You can do something on the vault control because Miami, this is their worst game mode. They've been trying to figure out what control map they want to play. They auto veto protocol every single series. They have been back and forth between Hacienda and Vault. And right now on their Vault, they're pretty much mediocre. They have a 3-5 overall record on it with Super into the lineup. Minnesota, though, are basically around the same thing at a 2-2 record. Miami really can't find any consistency, though, on both ends of the playing field. Offenses, they usually get outslayed, don't really average a lot of segments. Defenses, they also can't really keep up with the slaying, only outslayed by like 1 or 2 kills, and that's really not the way you want to play Vault. On the opposite side for Minnesota, their offenses are basically the same, but their defenses are a lot better. So for anything, Minnesota just need to bank on being the team, if you do go to a round number 5, to be that team on defense. Because if you take this control, you have a pretty good chance to keep yourself back into this series, or at least forcing game 5.
Yeah, you would hope, I think. You know, again, there's still things to be considered here about, like, you know, this Minnesota team on a red card hard point. It's not a guarantee. Miami's played it just as much as Minnesota has over the course of the last couple of weeks. But it has to start now. I mean,
thieves. Let's take a look at their scuff play in the game.
Minnesota season if they lose this, but it very well might be. Hi, Puckett. How are you? As we get into the mix, it'll be Minnesota on the offense, sitting on A zone, and a couple of nice kills will likely get them this first tick of progress.
The only guy who was consistently putting up the numbers. Everyone needs to fire on all cylinders, and now everyone is starting to get activated. Dominating in the kill feed, you go 3 for none. The stack is good enough for the second segment to be guaranteed, and Real's now just going to time this pinch to perfection. He opens up with the first kill. Metal flies on in, and they're able to execute the break.
Yeah, the pinch is just like that's great. Love that from Miami in terms of like putting yourself in position to battle back, but it's the extra 1v1 in front of the zone that has us, I think, sitting here again like, damn, like what is happening right now? Minnesota not going to be able to get much done in terms of this A zone, but still hold a life edge and a couple eliminations to give them another setup to give this one last try.
Oh, and that's a big double there from Gio to open up the mid floodgates. And even though Super finds a double, it's still going to be at a one-on-one in towards the point. Rencor v Ezreal, and Rencor is able to win it. So now 45 seconds to go. Minnesota are banking on a push through that pool side. Only have like 1 or 2 more good pushes. We need to find an opening good kill.
Oh, let's take a look here at some of the big moments.
We're going to do our best here, friends. We're giving you both streams at once. That's what we're doing here. But Minnesota, they will break back into the A zone, get their extra minute to play. What's a minute 33 in the clock? 2 life edge with an extra there as Metals will drop over towards the vault staircase. And Super and the rest of the gang will just try to hold this front line right on top of the B zone.
Yeah, Tess is super excited about that match they just saw in Alpha because LAT just beat the living hell out of Surge in like 20 minutes. Like, that was a very, very quick series. And this might be the case here. Also on the Bravo stream, if Miami can hold strong on their defensive setup. A minute and 15 left to work with. You have a lot of mid-map pressure to go with it. But Rencor is just slipping behind enemy lines, going unaccounted for. He sets up his teammate and Real for that double. And they've been able to hold strong on their setup for now. Only a minute left.
Probably have to play Surge. Like,
well, this is 11v11. Let's try to lock in here, chat. Let's just try to keep the blinders on. 3 down for Minnesota. And it's down to now Minnesota having to break through this setup. Just going to effort this from the middle of the map. Nero for 2 will provide a small avenue to work with. Real, good damage across the board. Rencor trying to follow up on that, but good nades to push him back and kind of out into the open, but Rencor able to keep his life 7v7.
Realistically, this is the moment of the game right that you want to try to win. If you are Rocker, but the 2 initial gunfights go in favor of Miami. No more respawns in favor of Minnesota. And with 20 seconds left, a team kill is going to help the occasion. With 15 seconds to go, you're simply not going to have the positionings that you want. Miami had the numbers. They have all of Palm's control. Miami going to stand strong in their opening defense.
Opportunity to try to keep themselves alive if Gio can get there, but no, not going to happen. Yeah, again, it's just another one of those moments, and we talk about this in terms of, like, what makes a great team versus a good team. And For me, it comes down to dealing with adversity in real time. And Miami's really shown that they can do that. Like that little pincher on the back followed up with the double hit from the front to clear off A. Their ability to continue to keep the 50-50 battle alive at middle so no one can touch B. Like, it's these little moments that you see from Miami's gameplay that you say, yeah, these guys are absolutely for real.
And I think on the opposite side for Minnesota Rocker, it's a lack of communication on their side, because you're winning every single gunfight through the middle of the map, and you're thinking, okay, that's 4 dead. We should be uncontested. No one has to be in a position to watch the pinch. But Real goes unaccounted for, and they were thinking we should be able to extend time early on, but when Real finds that double on the pinch, doesn't really allow Minnesota to get anything else after that. Only 3 segments to their name. Now Miami looking for a response on their offense. They have everyone through the middle of the map, and they also find the initial kill. First segment already locked.
Well, second looking good as well, but there are 3 members down. Real, the last one left, is able to actually keep himself behind enemy lines here and could do some work to manipulate spawns. Now, Minnesota are trying to do the same thing on the other end of the spectrum, but not fully able to. And yeah, Real can just try to spam this one out, finds himself another kill, and actually creates an opportunity for Miami to jump onto B and get some damage done here.
Yeah, now Rencor is working his way on the flank through bottom R, but the door is going to be heard. Unfortunately for Gio, he's not able to find that kill. And now Miami at least pulled the defense from Rocker on this side of the map to open up that A point. Second segment already locked. Nero trying to get something done through mid. Pillars is only able to take down 1. But Miami, as long as they just stay alive here, you still should be able to close it out. But Minnesota fly on in, win every gunfight, and stabilize on the map.
Yeah, 50 seconds to play. Clock, the biggest ally right now for Minnesota. They do have a 1-life lead, but work to be done here as Miami are trying to feel out where exactly Minnesota Rockers defense has moved over to. Nero does get pushed out of the top hallways, and that's enough to actually allow Metals to slide through, find the kill. And now you can capitalize by just crunching onto this A zone. 3 will drop. Metals actually thinking, I don't even want A. Let me get over to the B point here. Rencor, good timing, trying to get the knife through, but then does it the more traditional way, and now has a sub to work with as the first tick at B is done.
Yeah, and the stack is still here, so the second segment also might be guaranteed. Gio's trying to get something done on the pinch, or at least draw the attention to set up Estria for the double. Miami right now only have 4 segments to their name, but that initial double kill through the middle of the map is going to allow them to have the numbers.
Wow.
They're going to be able to extend the time, and this is a crucial moment now if you're Rocker, because you have to stay alive in your spawn and iron up.
Yeah, I thought for a moment that Miami may have gotten caught being a little bit too cute with that transition with 4 dead over to B, but they save the clock, get a big win from Estriel, has Minnesota staying alive on the other front through and into B. Other elimination, though, onto Kenny. Creates some pressure on the overextension. It really is just Nero trying to deal with this, and he gets overwhelmed, and now Miami can once again put pressure on the zone.
Again, if you're Rencor, just be a nuisance behind enemy lines. You already put yourself in towards the top side of Palace. You're also able to find the kill. A team kill isn't going to help, but you're drawing the attention from the players from Rocker off of the respawn. The double stack is here, and Miami are going to be able to close out the offense. And if this doesn't get more difficult now for Rocker, down 0-2 in the series, down 0-2 in the control, someone, it might be God, that needs to touch your shoulder for you to start to fight back in.
Oh, yeah. Whatever you could do. I'm not even sure what game that was we were just listening to right there.
Me either, bro. I don't know what's
sounded
going
like
on.
Monster Hunter or something. Attack of the Dinosaurs. But I think the thing too is, like, it's another moment you look at Miami, and I love the idea of the playbook developing a different layer of you get 4 down, and then all of a sudden you're through A onto B for pressure, because you can still trust that you're going to get that 3rd tick for the extra 60, even if time starts to run out. It's just, again, they're really elevating their gameplay.
Yeah,
Good first blood coming through. Nero with the trade. Back onto A.
The way that they're able to manipulate the map right now for Miami has been outstanding, because you're just leaving Minnesota on their toes at all times. You're thinking, okay, they're showing a lot of kills in the middle of the map. Oh, but they hit the audible. Now they're at B. So now we have to overextend a little bit more to try to contest them. And they know exactly where we're coming from. But Minnesota still got to show some fight here. Already on the attack. They find the initial 3 kills to start off the round. First segment already locked. All the mid-map pressure as well in their favor. And this should allow them to extend time pretty early.
Yeah, 3rd tick looks like it's going to be a guarantee unless Super gets one and dives into the point, but no. Not going to happen. So now Miami are going to look for the exit kills. And they've got a pretty solid surrounding, but it does mean a lot of 1v1s are going to come through. Minnesota able to win the first 2. And there is a level of, I think, recognition that Miami's still playing around the zone, not necessarily forward into your traditional spots, especially with Real finding a kill around the back. Super joins from the front effort, and yeah, there's the full pinch. Maybe one tick if Extra can find a kill, but not going to happen. 3 will fall. Miami will scale forward on their defense.
And now you already have Rancor pushed out towards the side of ammo. Minnesota got to put focus on him. You don't want to consistently work the overextension off of the respawn. We need to take some power positionings away from Miami. Everyone's starting to work their way through poolside. You see Kenny on your minimap just playing it patient through Vault, just banking on his teammates to find a kill or two before he hops the objective.
Yeah. Life lead, though, starting to become not immeasurable, but it's becoming a pretty significant factor of this last minute 20. For Life Edge, especially with Miami still playing forward. Good elimination from Nero to clear out gold. And a follow-up on the Super now has Minnesota eager to get back on the B-point. Metals on the pinch has been red, can't find that effort. And now it's out of Miami having to try to recollect themselves from the front.
Yeah, first segment already locked. So if you're Miami, hit your stuns and nades, trying to get at least the opening kill on your approach in towards this point. And Estrio, unfortunately, the car bomb takes care of him. And you instantly lose the numbers advantage. Second segment also does not get locked, and Rancor now going to be a nuisance to your spawn.
Yeah, that second tick has not been depleted, though, either. 2 life deficit for Minnesota with under 60 seconds to play. Real moving forward to play Vault Stairs. Metals, the other effort towards Balcony. Kind of really chokeholding Minnesota to have to play this through Street. Not where you want to be unless your name is Nero. Nice 4 in a row for him. May have a chance at a 5th, but cannot get the region to take a fair fight. So now it's on to Geo. Back out of the point. Second tick does get locked before the contest can come through. Trade is out, but Kenny, last one standing. No, can't find the final elimination onto Super, leaving Nero on 9 HP to try to do what he can.
Yeah, he has to play his life. Got to install time for your teammates to get into the play. Hopefully everyone's got an AR to watch over you. And Estru whips out an extra one to find an opening double, make it an opening triple. And Minnesota Rocker able to secure the attacking round and stay alive a little bit longer.
Okay. It would take the mega reverse sweep, finding 3 in a row in the control, plus, of course, the 3 maps in a row to get themselves into winners round 2 and maybe an extra lifeline for what could happen at Champs. But still so much work to be done, I think, especially in the face of a Miami offense that looked so damn good in their first effort. So it really does require a good break off here for Rocker to really set the tone in round 4.
Just don't really allow them to get segments. Try to dominate on your defensive setup. Get your ARs put into power positions and your SMGs to roam and be nuisances in their spawn. Break off is usually everything on control. You can already see the approach from Miami. They're a lot scattered on this map. They're looking for an initial B push. You got 2 players working through the B street. Metal's going to take all of Vault control, and now they already have presence on the side.
Yeah, but Miami did not expect a second player on the pinch, so they have to kind of forfeit the zone in an effort of trying to get a little bit further forward towards the Minnesota spawn. Metal's got one. The stick comes out for another, and Rencor clears out 1 contestant trying to do a spawn trap for Minnesota. But Estriel was the member in question, and he's found 2, and he will now be on the opposite side, kind of doing a spawn trap for spawn trap type strategy.
Yeah, actually, was trying to be the saving grace, or at least stalls out time for his teammates once he finds that initial double for them to sort of get back into the play. But then eventually he does get shut down on the pinch, and Miami still have all this presence over towards the B Street side. We don't want to give up the more difficult segment points at this B point, but the kills in favor of Miami keep them aggressive on this side of the map. You go 4v2, second segment locked.
Uh-oh, here we go. Metals just making sure nobody gets over towards Art, or at least is contested. There's only 1 player on the zone for now, but Metals cleans up the backside of Art, waits for the regen, can go help out on the point, and Metals has got 3. Almost good for the full 4-man feed, but Real steals it away. 60 seconds going to be on into the clock with the B zone captured, and look at your mini-map. Real is already on A.
Yeah, Meadows already gives the comment that at least 2 players have already tossed on out. The other 2 are still left in the spawn, but plays it a little bit too aggressive. He was trying to be an assistant to the teammates through the middle of the map. First segment is already going to be locked. Real knows I'm simply going to get outnumbered, so I need to take a gunfight on my own. But Kenny popping a double is able to stabilize for Rocker.
7 life advantage for Miami. Minute 30 on the clock. And it will pause once again with Metals getting over to A. Astro clears. Trying to get his teammates back into the play, and they have dealt with the 1 contestant try to block off the spawn in the form of Super. But Can they get here in time to stop this second tick of progress? You feel like you would have to. With a 5-life deficit, and Estriel with a double will make sure that that does indeed happen. 14 plays 11, minute 20. Second attempt here for Miami out of spawn.
Yeah, but Super's already in vault, and he found an initial kill. So now if you're Rocky, you have to focus on him. And Gio, unfortunately, does walk right into the preem of his gunfight. And Super's able to find another kill off of the respawn. So he's just opening up the floodgates right through the double door. The second segment is already going to be locked. You're up by 6 lives, and you just got to trade it out from this point on.
Yep. Can Minnesota establish a line of defense that will have Miami a bit more claustrophobic over the top of A? Nope, not going to happen. That's 3 dead. There's the last one in front of you, but Kenny gets 2. Not enough for the third. Double stack is in. Can you get here in time to touch? No, you cannot. 3-1 the count here on Vault Control. 3-0 overall. And I got to say, Miami is looking nice.
They're looking real good right now, man. The fact that they put Skyline back into the mix for them, even though you didn't win every single rotation on map number 1, your holds and your breaking was what led to success there on the opening Skyline. Search and destroy has basically been flawless. And then you get to the control, just non-stop pressure. They didn't allow Minnesota Rocket to ever stabilize on their defenses because you're thinking, all right, we're spawning over towards Art. Okay, there's already somebody in that position. And then with Metal starting off the round the way that he did, going through bottom vault, sliding on through, finding an opening kill, leading with a sticky grenade as well, it just allows Miami to dictate the way that they want to play the game. It was just too much to handle there for Rocker. You lose in a 3-0 fashion, and now you're knocked down to the loser bracket, where you basically need to have the best loser bracket run for you to make it to champs.
Yep, 31-19 for Real. Yeah, that's pretty for real, tell you that much. Other side of things, Gio, the one who really couldn't get things going. Story in the same line, just a different day, right? Like, it's just a chapter of the same story, I should say. Different chapter, same story. Just can't get all 4 members going, man. It's just